Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever felt like, you're talking to someone of a different gender and it just feels like you're not quite connecting, even with the same words?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly common, isn't it?
It really is. And today we're doing a deep dive based on a source called The Dance of Differences, Mending Male-Female Misunderstandings.
Right. Trying to understand what this particular source says might be behind it all.
Exactly. What are the sort of key reasons it points to for why we sometimes seem to be on totally different wavelengths?
Well, what's interesting is that the source doesn't just offer one single reason. It suggests it's more layered than that.
Layered how?
It starts by suggesting we should maybe consider some, foundational differences,
Hmm.
biological and psychological ones.
Biological, really. The source actually gets into that.
It touches on it, yeah. Not in, like, super heavy scientific detail, but it raises the idea that maybe neurological or hormonal variations could play a role.
Okay, so like how we process emotions or maybe even how we hear things differently.
Potentially.
That's
It's presented more as a possible underlying factor, a nature element maybe, before we even get to learned behaviors.
Got it. So, a potential biological baseline, according to the source. But how does that actually show up in conversations? Day-to-day stuff.
Well, that's where the source really leans into differences in communication style.
Okay.
One of the main arguments it makes is that men often tend to approach conversation looking for the solution. They hear a problem, they think, okay, how do we fix this?
Right, the problem solver mode.
Exactly. Whereas the source proposes women might more often be looking for empathy first, for understanding, connection around the feeling itself.
Before jumping to a fix.
Yeah, needing that relational connection before maybe wanting advice or sometimes instead of advice.
Ah, okay, I can see that. That classic thing the source probably covers, someone shares something tough, and the immediate response is, well, you just do X, when all they wanted was someone to say, wow, that sounds really hard.
Precisely. And the source argues that difference in goal fixing versus connecting is a huge potential source of misunderstanding, a real flashpoint.
Yeah, because one person feels brushed off, like their feelings don't matter.
Right, like the quick fix invalidates the emotion, and the other person is maybe thinking, hey, I gave you a great solution. Why aren't you using it? Feeling frustrated, perhaps.
Makes sense. Okay, so we have potential biology, different communication styles. Anything else the source throws into this mix?
Oh, yeah. It brings in the wider world. Culture, societal expectations.
How so?
It looks at how what society labels masculine or feminine influences how we act and what we expect from each other. How much emotion you're supposed to show or what roles people expect you to play in a relationship.
So it's not just background noise. Society is actively shaping how we interact and even how we interpret each other based on gender.
That's the argument the source makes, yes. These cultural cues, sometimes we're aware of them, sometimes not, but they add another layer of expectation, another potential filter for misinterpretation.
Wow, okay. So it's quite complex. Biology, maybe, learned communication habits, and societal pressures all tangled up. Does the source offer any way through this? Any hope?
It does try to, yes.
Yeah.
It's not just about identifying the problems. The source apparently uses specific case studies, like little stories, to show how these things play out in real life.
Makes it more concrete.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Importantly, it draws on insights from experts, psychologists, relationship therapists who talk about ways to actually, bridge these gaps. Becoming more aware is the first step.
Understanding the why behind the
To
miscommunication.
figure out the how of communicating better, yes.
So thinking about you, our listener, understanding these different elements, the possibility of biology, those common communication style clashes, the weight of cultural norms, this is all really relevant for your own life, right?
Definitely. It's not about making excuses or locking people into stereotypes.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But maybe recognizing there are multiple forces at work when communication feels off. It helps to see where the other person might be coming from.
It can offer a bit more compassion, perhaps. Understanding that it's not always bad intentions, but maybe just, different programming, different conversational goals, different interpretations.
So wrapping up, the source suggests these misunderstandings aren't just simple mistakes. They're this complicated dance between potential biology, learned ways of talking like fixing versus connecting, and all those cultural messages we absorb.
A multifaceted picture for sure.
It really is. Which leaves us with a thought to ponder. Drawing from all this, if all these factors influence how we experience the world and communicate, what does it actually mean for you to truly listen and feel genuinely heard across these differences? Something to think about in your own conversations.